So you're driving down I-4 and you see the billboards, or you turn on your TV and you see the commercials and they say how much someone got in a case. I'm Jim Gordon at Bears and Gordon. Let me explain what those billboards mean, what those commercials mean, and how that money comes about. Those type of cases are few and far between. Those type of cases involve catastrophic injuries. And what I mean by a catastrophic injury is, using an example, someone's in a bad accident, we had this before, and she suffered a collapse of her what's called thoracic spine, the middle of her spine. Basically 5 levels collapsed on itself and she had to have that rebuilt. That would be a catastrophic injury. But what's important on that, in that type of case or any of the cases, is you can have that injury, but then the next thing that's very important is, who was the person who hit you? I know that sounds terrible, but insurance coverage determines how much the case will settle for, or will get maybe even go to trial and you'll get out of a trial. Because if you're hit by a commercial vehicle with $1 million in coverage and you have that type of catastrophic injury, you might be able to get the whole $1 million. But if you're hit by someone that lives by themselves, they have no tangible assets, they have a $10,000 policy, and there's nothing you could get from them because they're not working, they have no job, they have no vehicles, they don't own a home, they don't own a second home. That's all you're going to get, no matter how catastrophic and how life-changing those injuries are. So that's a big portion of what you see on those billboards, is usually commercial vehicles, catastrophic injuries, and a lot of treatment. And to be fair, most of the time, unless it's a traumatic brain injury, those cases involve surgeries, and sometimes multiple surgeries for these people. I tell my clients all the time when I meet with them the very first time, you don't want to have a catastrophic injury. You don't, as much as we all would like to get billboard money and myself getting a third or whatever we may get out of this case and my client getting their money, to have that catastrophic injury, it's so life-changing that it's not worth the amount of money you end up with. I've had clients that have had catastrophic injuries who tell me if they could go back and do it all over again, they would pay back the money, go back on their way, because they would rather be walking correctly, playing with their kids, running around with their kids, and doing what they enjoyed doing the day before the crash occurred. And that money never changes it, never makes up for it. As much as people like to think it does, it's a misconception that it actually does.